Hello again. Once again, glad to have you back. Well, we've been following the trials and tribulations of the folks at Lake Town. Now let's see if we can find out what has happened to our travelers back at the mountain. We're on chapter 15. It's titled The Gathering of the Clouds. Now we will return to Bilbo and the dwarves. All night one of them had watched, but when morning came, they had not heard or seen any sign of danger. But ever more thickly the birds were gathering. Their companies came flying from the south, and the crows that still lived about the mountain were wheeling and crying unceasingly above. "Something strange is happening," said Thorin. "The time is gone for the autumn wanderings, and these are birds that dwell always in the land. There are starlings and flocks of finches, and far off there are many carrion birds, as if a battle were afoot." Suddenly Bilbo pointed. "There's that old thrush again," he cried. "He seems to have escaped when Smaug smashed the mountainside, but I don't suppose the snails have." Sure enough, the old thrush was there, and as Bilbo pointed, he flew towards them and perched on a stone nearby. Then he fluttered his wings and sang. Then he cocked his head to one side as if to listen, and again he sang, and again he listened. "I believe he is trying to tell us something," said Balin, "but I cannot follow the speech of such birds. It is very quick and difficult. Can you make it out, Baggins?" "Not very well," said Bilbo. As a matter of fact, he could make nothing of it at all. "But that old fellow seems very excited." "I only wish he was a raven," said Balin. "I thought you did not like them. You seemed very shy of them when we came this way before." "Those were crows, nasty and suspicious looking creatures, and rude as well. You must have heard the ugly names they were calling us after us. But the ravens are different. There used to be great friendship between them and the people of Thror, and they often brought us secret news, and were rewarded with such bright things as they coveted to hide in their dwellings. They lived many a year, and the memories are long, and they hand on their wisdom to their children. I knew many among the ravens of the rocks when I was a dwarf lad. This is the very height that once was named Raven Hill, because there was a wise and famous pair, old Kark and his wife, that lived here above the guard chamber. But I don't suppose that any of the ancient breed linger here now." No sooner had he finished speaking than the old thrush gave a loud call and immediately flew away. "We may not understand him, but that old bird understands us, I am sure," said Balin. "Keep watch now and see what happens." Before long there was a fluttering of wings, and back came the thrush, and with him came a most decrepit old bird. He was getting blind, could hardly fly, and the top of his head was bald. He was an aged raven of great size. He alighted stiffly on the ground before them, and slowly flapped his wings and bobbed towards Thorin. "O Thorin, son of Thrain, and Balin, son of Fundin," he croaked. And Bilbo could understand what he said, for he used ordinary language and not bird speech. "I am Roak, son of Kark. Kark is dead, but he was well known to you once. It is 100 years and 53 since I came out of the egg, but I do not forget what my father told me. Now I am the chief of the great ravens of the mountain. We are few, but we remember still the king that was of old. Most of my people are abroad, for there are great tidings in the south. Some are tidings of joy to you, and some you will not think so good. Behold, the birds are gathering back again at the mountain, and to the dale from the south, and east, and west, for word has gone out that Smaug is dead." "Dead! Dead!" shouted the dwarves. "Dead! Then we have been in needless fear, and the treasure is ours." They all sprang up and began to caper about for joy. "Yes, dead," said Roak. "The thrush, may his feathers never fall, saw him die, and we may trust his words. He saw him fall in battle with the men of Esgaroth, the third night back from now as the rising of the moon. It was some time before Thorin could bring the dwarves to be silent and listen to the raven's news. At length, when he had told the tale, had told all the tale of the battle, he went on. So much for joy, Thorin Oakenshield. You may go back to your halls in safety. All the treasure is yours, for the moment. But many are gathering hither beside the birds. The news of the death of the guardian has already gone far and wide, and the legend of the wealth of Thror has not lost in the telling during many years. Many are eager for a share of the spoil. Already a host of elves is on the way, and carrion birds are with them, hoping for battle and slaughter. By the lake men murmur that their sorrows are due to the dwarves, for they are homeless and many have died, and Smaug has destroyed their town. They too think to find amends from your treasure, whether you are alive or dead. Your own wisdom must decide your course, but 13 is a small remnant of the great folk of Durin that once dwelt here and are now scattered far and wide. If you will listen to my counsel, and you will not trust the master of the lake men, but rather him that shot the dragon with his bow. Bard is he, of the race of Dale, of the line of Girion. He is a grim man, but true. We would see peace once more among the dwarves and men and elves after the long desolation, but it may cost you your dear in gold. I have spoken. Then Thorin burst forth in anger. Our thanks, Roak, son. You and your people shall not be forgotten, but none of our gold shall thieves take or the violent carry off while we are alive. If we would earn our thanks still more, bring us news of any that draw near. Also, I would beg you, if any of you are still young and strong of wing, that you would send messengers to our kin in the mountains of the north, both west from here and east, and tell them of our plight. But go especially to my cousin Dane in the Iron Hills, for he has had many people well armed dwell nearest to this place. Bid him to hasten. I will not say if this counsel be good or bad, croaked Roak, but I will do what can be done. Then off he slowly flew. Back now to the mountain, cried Thorin. We have little time to lose. And little food to use, cried Bilbo, who was always practical on such points. In any case, he felt that the adventure was, properly speaking, over with the death of the dragon, in which he was much mistaken, as he would have given most of his share of the profits for the peaceful winding up of these affairs. Back to the mountain, cried the dwarves, as if they had not heard him, so back he had to go with them. As you have heard some of the events already, you will see that the dwarves still had some days before them. They explored the caverns once more and found, as they expected, that only the front gate remained open. All the other gates, except of course the small secret door, had long ago been broken and blocked by Smaug, and no sign of them remained. So now they began to labor hard in fortifying the main entrance, and in making a new path that led from it. Tools were found in plenty that the miners and quarriers and builders of old had used, and at such work the dwarves were still very skilled. As they worked, the ravens brought them constant tidings, and in this way they learned that the elven king had turned aside to the lake, and they still has a breathing space. Better still, they heard that three of their ponies had escaped and were wandering wild far down the banks of the running river, not far from where the rest of their stores had been left. So while the others went on with their work, Feely and Keely were sent and guided by a raven to find the ponies and bring back all they could. They were 4 days gone, and by that time they knew that the joined armies of the lakemen and the elves were hurrying towards the mountain. But now their hopes were higher, for they had food for some weeks with care, chiefly cram, of course, and they were very tired of it. But cram is much better than nothing. And already the gate was blocked with a wall of squared stones laid dry, but very thick and high across the opening. There were holes in the wall through which they could see or shoot, but no entrance. They climbed in and out with ladders and hauled stuff up with ropes. For the issuing of the stream, they had contrived a small low arch under the new wall. But near the entrance, they had so altered the narrow bed that a wide pool stretched from the mountain wall to the head of the fall over which the stream went towards the dale. Approach to the gate was now only possible without swimming along a narrow ledge of the cliff, and to the right as one looked outwards from the wall. The ponies they had brought only to the head of the steps above the old bridge, and unloading them there had bidden them to return to their masters and sent them back riderless to the south. And I believe we're at a perfect place to stop. We do have a map I want to share. It's titled The Plan of the Lonely Mountain. If you look carefully on it, you'll see where the back door is, and you'll also see where the first camp, and then it kind of shows you where the front gate is. So this is kind of the back side of the Lonely Mountain, and I want to share that with you. And we'll have to hear what happens next soon. I hope soon. I hope you'll join me again very soon. But it looks like the army of the lake men and the elves have merged together and are heading towards our dwarves and Bilbo. I wonder what will happen. Until we get together again, have a beautiful day.